This week's episode is brought to you by our very proud sponsor, Slab Cards, who specialize in card grading with PSA and SGC. Slab Cards are authorized PSA dealers, and card grading starts from $54.95 and includes full insurance, secure storage. Slab Cards have 2 tons of backgrade safes, 24-hour surveillance, and are located in a guarded, monitored building. All cards are scanned on arrival and are available to you for viewing at any time, and Slab Cards provide automatic progress notifications. Your submissions also come with complete tracking and notifications from start to finish. Slab Cards also offer specialized shipping services, domestic shipping service with up to $10,000 insurance per parcel, domestic secure hand-to-hand shipping service delivery within 24 hours of pickup, and international shipping with up to $150,000 of insurance per parcel. Contact Slab Cards for a quote at slabd.com.au, that's slabd.com.au, and also find them at 60 Weymount Street in Adelaide. Thanks very much for supporting us, Slab Cards. Welcome everybody to episode 27 of the You Can't Comp This NBA podcast. I am Russell Gibson and I'm here with my co-host Adam Amy. Adam.
How are we? We're in the middle of the playoffs. It's exciting times at the moment.
It was a game-free day today, so for me, actually,
it's sort of that lull.
I'm having some withdrawals.
I had withdrawals in the morning, and then I watched a series of Marvel movies, and that sort of got me through. But it's definitely going to be an interesting couple of game sevens tomorrow.
Yeah, you were talking about that off air, and I'm just looking at the schedule now. It just looks insane, doesn't it? Bucks, Celtics, Phoenix, and Dallas. It's just going to be delicious.
The pressure's got to be on Phoenix, right? Like they're the number one seed. They had the best record in the NBA.
Yeah,
and really, they're sort of a Luka monster game away from being eliminated.
Or do you bet on Chris Paul that he'll have that type of elimination game again that he had against the Pelicans?
Well, I was going to say, we can always reflect on Chris Paul elimination games. There's been plenty of them.
Yeah.
His time with the Clippers. But I was going to say, I've got a question in the chat here. If Luka only plays average, can Dallas win? The answer there is no.
No way.
There's no way. Luka has to have a monster game, and they're sort of pushing it up a hill. They haven't been able to win in Phoenix. They've struggled, and this is definitely Phoenix's game to lose. The other one is can Giannis get the Bucks over the line? Because Boston aren't going into the sunset quietly, are they?
Definitely not. So I feel like you're asking a lot of questions at the moment, Ad, but not giving us much smackdown. So what are your predictions for tomorrow?
The Suns get through. Yeah. Giannis plays a Giannis game and the Bucks get through.
Okay.
And I'm still on the Warriors to win the title.
Cool.
Because Steph Curry showed why Steph Curry is Steph Curry. The other day, closing out the Grizzlies. That was yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for Ja, but they did good to get to where they got to.
They had an amazing season. They've got nothing to.
But the Warriors have timed their run. I mean, aside from that Peyton injury, if he comes back if they make it through, obviously the Western Conference Finals, I see the.
He should be back halfway through that Western Conference Final series. Yeah. Yeah,
so it'd be really nice to see him back and then back at full strength.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors, they've been there, they've done it, and they've succeeded many times. So it's gonna be interesting. I do feel like we're in for a Warriors finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably just moz them now and Phoenix is going to get through.
I agree with you, man. Look, it feels like they're back and they're starting to hit a bit of a groove and they've got that insane depth with, Jordan Poole and I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the Warriors a lot. I've got the Celtics tomorrow. I think the home court advantage in Boston is going to be, significant. And also I feel like they fell short a couple of games and I think maybe luck will just go their way just a little bit more and that sort of 1 or 2 possessions here or there will go their way. And I think they've got enough to get it done. And like the Bucks, the thing that I've noticed the most with them is just Middleton. They just don't have that extra cog in the machine. And there's only so much that Giannis can do. And then
it's true.
Dallas and Phoenix, I think Phoenix is going to get through. I think the cream sort of always rises to the top for me. And
yeah. Well, speaking of the cream rising to the top, look, I think today's the day we're going to address this, but there's been a team we really haven't spoken about, and they've got their way through to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So, look, congratulations to Miami, 4-2, closing that series out against Philadelphia. I thought Philly did well to sort of make it a bit of a series.
Definitely. Particularly how banged up Embiid was with the thumb with the torn ligament, then the fractured orbital, and then, he was wearing the face mask and copying hits to the face. Like, that was just, I don't know. For me, he's really gone up a level, actually, in terms of where I see him and his toughness and his commitment to the game. Like, he's just a machine, man.
Oh, another follow-up question. Does Miami still win that series if Embiid plays in games 1 and 2? I think that would be interesting to wind that back. But this Miami team is very strong.
Yeah. They're very deep. They're very disciplined.
They are. It's. I don't think I've given them enough credit. I definitely kind of write them off a lot. And here they are in the Eastern Conference Finals again.
Yeah.
So Tyler Herro, 6th Man of the Year. I think I saw a question on one of the NBA pages a while ago, and something we can probably deep dive today.
Yeah.
Why the hell are Tyler Herro cards worth more than Jimmy Butler cards?
We can definitely talk about this later. I think that's a really good question, actually. So we talk off air about what we're going to talk about each week. And one of the topics I wanted to do in some capacity was, what is the truth that's in front of our eyes that we're just completely missing? And I think even though we're not doing this topic today, in some ways we are, because this team has been really good and we've barely spoken about them, the entire year. So I think dedicating an entire segment to them is definitely worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then the other thing
credit's due.
Yeah, that we wanted to talk about was just do an MVP voting, so that only the people who received votes.
Yeah.
Do a recap on that. So why don't we kick off and start chatting about that, mate?
Let's start with the MVP stuff because, look.
So congratulations to the Joker, because
the man carried literally. They were just picking up people off the street at one point. Denver were, and he was taking whoever was around him for the ride. And
definitely.
And look, the Nuggets didn't have the best of years. They were injury ridden.
Yeah,
but Nikola Jokic, I tell you what, the man is, he's something else. To go back-to-back MVP, to have the year he's had, is there anything this man can't do?
He can't move his feet on D that well, but apart from that, he's doing all right. So when you saw the announcement, how did you feel about that? Were you happy with it? Did you think that Embiid was a bit stiffed? Do you think that Giannis was overlooked? Did you think anything like this?
Well, it's interesting because I think the main reason Giannis gets overlooked is because he's won MVP awards, right?
Yeah.
Giannis is an interesting one because I think he probably is the MVP of the league or is the best player in the league.
Yeah.
But then you get back to the statement most valuable. And without Jokic, Denver's fighting for a lottery, like fighting for the number 1 pick. And with Jokic, these guys made the playoffs and could have made some serious headroad.
Yep.
Like, I think as far as most valuable player goes, it's Jokic by a country mile in my eyes. Like, I don't see any other team in the league. And look, I hate bringing things back to my struggling team, but LeBron tried to put the Lakers on his back and it broke his back. You know what I mean? Like it didn't work.
Yeah.
Without AD there, he struggled. And Jokic was just like, nah, I'm not having any of this. I'm putting this team on my back and we're making the playoffs and we're going to compete.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel fine with that. I think for me, really where Joker and Embiid separated themselves was just the games played and then the overall minutes played. Like when you looked at those two stats back to back, there's no real argument there. And I'd probably also say too, if you do believe that the MVP award is a regular season award and you're not looking forward in time to the playoffs and you're not looking forward in time, for the finals, well, then there's no real argument for that. And I'd probably also not say, but maybe remind people that really Giannis wasn't playing at full speed, at full tilt at the start of the season. And he rested a bit. And I think that definitely does,
it does hinder the
take away.
Yeah, it does affect the narrative to an extent.
Yeah.
It's
So I had no trouble with how the voting played out. I probably expected Giannis to get a couple more votes, but at the same time,
yeah.
I definitely don't feel, badly about it.
I thought winning it last year was going to impact Jokic, but this is a completely different season.
Yeah.
This shows me why he's an MVP.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty special season for the Joker. Like, we were talking about him fairly early on in the season when Denver just kept getting injury after injury, and I was like, well, what are these guys going to do? And they could have folded very easily. And look, Jokic just didn't give up. I think it's more of a credit to him than a slight against the other players. I think Embiid's a superstar. I think Giannis is going to be one of the all-time greats. But this year, the Joker was the most valuable player in the league. Anyone would have loved to have Jokic on their team.
Yeah. So what I'll ask you to do, Ad, is think about a Giannis or a Joker or an Embiid card that you'd like to purchase. Mm-hmm. And while you're mulling that over, I'm just going to go through some recent sale prices of the big three. So
okay,
PSA 10 silver for Giannis last sold for 27,000 K, which is huge money. Ironically, though, it's actually down 31%, so nearly 32%. This is actually where the conversation gets really interesting for me. So a Joker last sold for 3,000, which is up 7%. But if you look at the graph where it is, it's actually been up and down quite a bit. So, depending on where you catch it on the graph, you might be able to save yourself a little bit of money. Embiid last sold for 2,025, and that's actually down 28%. So for me, the conversation in my head is when you look at Joker and what he's doing with his career and how he is, really beginning to put forward, the multiple MVPs. Where does he sort of fit on that trajectory of between 3,000 and 27,000 where Giannis is sitting? Is there actually a lot of room to move in that space? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a tough one. I think all three players have very, very different trajectories as far as collectability goes.
Yeah.
Embiid's biggest question mark has always been his health.
Yeah.
Giannis is Giannis. Like there's a reason that his cards are so valuable. He time and time again puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
He's now got a championship. He's got his MVPs. The Joker's a weird one. Because I guess he's not a spotlight player. Like, did you see all the commentary, I guess, when he won the MVP? There was the Taco Bell ad. That's the video footage of Nikola Jokic being drafted at pick 41. It was a live update tag at the bottom of the Taco Bell ad.
Yeah.
Like, it was an ad during the draft. Nobody thought this guy was going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
And to do what he's done just goes to show. Like, imagine redrafting some of these years. I just don't think he'll ever. I think he's going to be one of those players that everybody goes, "Yep, the Joker, he's a beast," but he's just not. I don't know if Denver's the market problem, but he doesn't have that allure as far as being collected. Embiid's probably got more star status, but he's just this hardworking monster of a player.
Yeah. So
if I could have a card, I'd take a Giannis.
Yeah.
I just don't have a spare 27 grand.
Yeah. No, for sure. So, okay, let me ask you two follow-up questions. So, do you think that the Joker can win a championship?
I do.
Yeah.
I would love to see a fully healthy Denver.
Yep.
Maybe with a couple of roster changes, but I think they've been tweaking this roster, and maybe the next recruit they need is some better medical stuff. I don't know. I feel so bad for them. Like they really built a good roster. They really did. And
I think the way that their team drafts players is exceptional.
Yeah.
But I'd also say some of their draft success has been built on drafting players with really high upside that also are known to have history, with injuries. And so I think
Oh,
but I think that was
yeah.
part of their strategy. Like the reason why these players fell to them in the draft is because they were too risky for other teams, whereas they were happy to sort of, take that risk. So
Yeah.
seasons like this to me is not really that surprising for Denver to be having. But I suppose just trying to bring this back to what we're talking about. I suppose what I'm trying to get to is,
Mm.
at 3,000, is Joker a buy, hold, or a sell to you?
I'd be holding the Joker at this point.
Yeah,
I don't think he's reached his ceiling. I think the MVP is
Yeah.
acknowledgement.
yeah.
Um,
Because that's what I feel. And because we were talking about this last week, those sort of
Yeah.
25-year purchases, if we're
you're
looking back
right. Yeah.
in 25 years, is this 3,000, is that a really good price? And maybe the answer to that question is actually he might even slide down a little bit in the off season. Like I get that totally.
Yeah.
But then, moving into the future, is that a really good buy? Yes, I would probably say so. What you said before about Embiid, I completely agree with. I think a lot of his value is tied to his health. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing this 28% slide now, I'm actually really surprised in that because I don't think that's tied to his health at all. I think that's tied to the lack of success that the team's had.
Lack of success
And
of the process.
yeah, the process, and also really, and to some degree, how James Harden gelled or, didn't gel with him. Like being pragmatic here, if
Yeah.
Harden had played better, I wouldn't really see that team shouldn't
Yeah.
still be alive. Like they could be still active. So would he have that sort of 28% drop?
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't touch this, but maybe if you do enjoy a good gamble and you say, well, actually it's down 30%, maybe this is a good time to jump on board. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that actually.
Yeah.
I still think though that the Joker is easily the best purchase of these three. And the only reason why I'm saying that is
Giannis is at
because
his cap. There's no.
well, no, I think that might go higher, but more to the point, there's no way I'll ever be able to mobilize those type of funds to buy a single card. So you know what I mean? Like in
Yeah.
my head, I'm just completely ruling this one out. So,
Mm.
if you could buy a nice Giannis card, what would you buy, mate?
Look, I'm very very traditional. I wouldn't mind myself a silver prism,
Yeah,
but I do actually like the select,
yeah,
like a silver select.
yeah.
That was I mean, I still don't understand why the select isn't as I mean, yeah, I do understand it's the prism thing. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Select I thought was a very very nice set. What have we got? So yeah, silver, prism silver, PSA 10. There we go, $7,000. So I just saved myself 20 grand then. I'll just get a silver prism of that one.
So, if I can be devil's advocate here, though, remember
Mm.
last week we spoke about choosing the right sets?
Yeah, true.
And irregardless of how we feel about Select, I personally love Select. I think it's a really
Yeah.
nice set. To be honest, I think it's better produced than Prism is. I think that the RPAs in it are delicious. In retail, this is a
Yeah.
bad argument now, but I really like the inserts out of it. I personally think. Anyway, look,
Yeah,
overall,
yeah.
I think it's better. But irregardless of that, it doesn't matter what I think about it. The
Prism.
market says that Prism sells and everyone wants Prism. So it's, do you know what I mean? Like it's sort of a moot point. And then
Yeah.
again, if we're having that 25-year conversation,
Do you want the select one or do you
yeah.
want yeah, exactly.
Do
I said, I would take
Because-
obviously number one. Well, all right. So there comes. Do I spend $7,000 on a silver prism select?
yeah,
Or and this is probably more in the realm of reality. Do I go and spend $1,600 on a prism base?
it's a silver, is it?
Not silver, just a base. PSA 10 prism base.
Oh, for PSA 10, is it?
Yeah. So it's 1,600.
I hate to do a Matthew Uger on this. What's the pop count, big fella?
2,700. 20. We'll say 2,750, just around it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's 2,742.
Yeah. So
obviously the silvers.
What was the price on that, mate? You said 2,700.
No. 1,600.
1,600. Okay, and that's USD.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So in that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what you just said then and lead into my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember when we had Uger on the show, Matthew Uger?
Yep.
He was saying, you can pick up a Giannis autograph for about $1,000. And actually, since that time, I've been doing a little bit of scouring, and I think maybe the number he had in his head was maybe a couple of months old from when we had the show.
Yeah.
And now we're a further month down the track. And I think just because of how well he's been playing, like all world, his autograph prices have gone right up. But you can get a rookie autograph for 3,000 US, and that's graded. It's a lowish grade, like it's a BGS 9, but at the same time, that is still absolutely beautiful. Look, I would, if my budget would get me 1,600 for a rookie autograph, I think it would have to be raw or a very low graded card, like say a 7, maybe a bit higher. But actually looking at his on-card autographs, which are veteran cards, I think they look really good, particularly his on-card autographs where it gives it a little bit extra space to breathe. I'd be really happy with coming away with something like that. He doesn't sign an absolute ton.
I'm just looking here.
I think if that was my budget, just to keep it sort of like, apples for apples, I would definitely be able to get an autograph for less than 1,600.
Yeah.
It means I'm not buying something that's base. Yes, I'm probably not getting something that's graded, but you could fix that down the line. If I could somehow sneak in, even if we'll say a Crusade Apprentice signatures, I'm looking at one now. It's currently at $860. It's got 18 hours left.
Yeah.
That would be great for me too. So I think that would be where I'd be heading down and looking towards. Because I have to admit, what Maddie said to me the other week really has been on my mind. Like, should I be trying to hunt out one of these for that sort of, $1,000 mark? Is that...
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then that's...
Is that an absolute keeper?
All right. How about... Oh, man, why are they stickers? Are they both sticker autos? I'm looking at the Prism. I'm looking at the Prism.
Most of his rookie stuff. It looks like most of it's sticker. And his signature is different at that time too. So it's not terrible. I was looking at
the Select RPA.
Yeah.
Or the rookie jersey auto.
Yeah.
Versus the Select... versus the Prism rookie auto.
Yeah.
And yeah, like for $7,000, $7,500, you can get the auto PSA 10 Prism, and it's a bloody sticker auto. Is there any RPA there with an actual on card?
Look, I haven't spent heaps and heaps of time on this, but I haven't seen any rookie stuff that's on card. No.
So that'd be keep a lookout, I guess.
And
that'd
just
be where the
add
value
another
would
caveat to that too. Like, I'm not talking about flawless or anything like that either.
Yeah.
So look, most could be.
Yeah.
Is there any other cards you might be buying from the MVPs that have just gone through, or?
Look, I'd probably end up. I'd be interested maybe in a Jokic.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with Embiid. Maybe I just don't trust the process. But yeah, it's.
I love Joker's Prism Silver. I think that looks beautiful. I'd be very happy with that.
Just a silver, just a silver.
Silver
Jokic.
PSA 10 is just beautiful for me. I'm totally fine with that.
That is a beautiful card. That is a very, very nice card.
Super keen to get one of his autos for some reason. I'm not too sure why, but I'd be really happy with that. In terms of Embiid, look.
I've got a Hoops Embiid base raw.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because to pick up his raw rookie cards, you're not looking at a heap.
No, it's not. He definitely, I guess maybe sitting out those seasons did sort of detract from his value to an extent.
And if you do want to jump into a low-end Embiid, PSA 9 base Prism last sold for $82. Okay. That's down 44%.
Okay, so that's something affordable.
Yeah, if Embiid's your boy and you're on a budget, not bad at all. All right, I think we've covered that pretty nicely.
Yeah, I actually have a question in the chat here.
Let's go.
If you sent Damian Lillard to the Nuggets to play alongside the Joker? How far does that duo go?
What are you sending back first, though? Are we talking about...
Probably looking at it. You probably have to give up Murray and maybe something else that's big plus picks.
I'll tell you what, let's do a live trade machine.
Jamal Murray. We've got Lillard. Who else? Who else do you send? Michael Porter.
All right. Monte Morris and Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard.
That's 2 point guards for one.
What's your trade?
I wouldn't send Morris. I would send Michael Porter Jr. That's but I need to find another smallish piece. I'd send picks. Yeah, try this trade. There we go.
You got a successful one?
Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard straight up. I would add draft picks, obviously, on Denver's side.
Yeah. All right. I've got Damian Lillard and Greg Brown III for Jamal Murray and Will Barton. So that's sort of like point guard for point guard, wing for wing.
Yeah. All right.
And I think that's a legacy trade for Lillard. I've said this publicly many times. I really think that they're going to trade him at some point and they won't particularly be getting like 100% value back for him. It's going to be something that will help him out. I think he's been such a loyal soldier for them. There's nothing else they can really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. That's yeah. I don't know. I was going to say there's not much in the in Portland's roster, is there?
They've already got it a little bit, to be fair.
I'll stick with the first one. I was going to try and figure out somewhere where they got rid of Aaron Gordon as well. But Murray's obviously the key piece there. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's see. Let's be real. It's like a healthy Jamal Murray. A healthy Jamal Murray. We probably want to see what that looks like.
I think it's pretty fair to say that Lillard's an upgrade over Murray, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I just don't think Portland will want to get overs for Lillard, which I don't think they will when he finally cracks it. I think I just don't want to see the same thing happen to Luka, to be honest. That's why I'm hoping tomorrow's Game 7 is maybe a bit of an upset, so that Luka can sort of prove that they've got the right pieces around him. I don't think this is their year anyway. Anyway, that's beside the point. It'd be interesting to see. I'd like to see Denver succeed next season. Obviously, if they didn't succeed, I'd like to see my team succeed. But yeah, I think the Joker will.
Who's your team, Ad? You've never told us who you support.
Me? I think everyone knows who I support. It's not Boston. How's that? I think my team's in trouble for a very long time. So, boy.
All right, let's move on. Miami Heat.
Miami Heat.
So the rest of the show, all we're talking about is the Miami Heat.
We're on board. We're all right. We're off. We're off to Miami. Let's
go. So how about you first talk about Tyler Herro, and I'll talk about Jimmy Butler. How about that?
Who do I get? Tyler Herro.
You do Herro, yeah, because I've got Butler ready to go. So
I was going to say Victor Oladipo.
Yeah. Well, I thought because you mentioned before you were talking about Tyler Herro, how he's selling for more than
Jimmy Butler cards. Yep.
Yeah. So this is I've got his Prism PSA 10 up, his silver. It last sold for 2,500. And I'm not going to lie to you, that to me is very high. Like I was not expecting to see that number come out.
PSA 10 silver, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2,500. Yeah, so it's up nearly 40%. And
it's from that year too. It's the no rookie card label Prism year.
Yeah.
No shield.
I mean, how do I feel about that? I think buying at the moment, you're definitely, buying on the crest. Moving
pop count in the silvers of 19. I mean, it's Jimmy Butler. There's not going to be many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. All right,
For me, that's a sell. That's it's a very, very strong sell, and I just really wonder where he ends up. To be honest, he's the type of guy for me that really could go sort of both ways. He could go into basketball oblivion, and we never hear from him in 2 years, or he could, he'd demand a trade again and get traded to a contender, and he wins a chip. Do you know what I mean? He's that sort of really
like
dynamic.
He said on the way out, Tobias Harris over me.
Yeah.
To Philly on his way out.
Just that really dynamic sort of personality and sort of career span, really, that I've got a lot of respect for him as a person. I think what he's done with his life is just amazing. And
I think it's very interesting that Jimmy Butler now has his own team in Miami.
Yeah.
Because it's his team, right?
He's a courageous dude, but I just don't think I can get around this guy in terms of his hobby value being that high. That makes me very uncomfortable. So sorry, Ad, I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. I see this guy as a solid second fiddle, and the fact that he's taken now that it's his team.
Yeah.
Right. So, and look, we're staying on Miami, but I'm just making some comparisons here. Kevin Durant's tried to go out on his own, failed.
Yeah.
Kyrie wanted Boston, failed.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? There are players that have said they're ready to put a team on their back, that they want to be the number one guy.
I mean, I don't think the book has been written on Durant that he's failed yet, but I would say he hasn't had as much success as what.
He only had success when he rode the back of the Warriors dynasty.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, look, I was going to say I'm definitely with some other people on the not Kevin Durant's biggest fan, but you're right. But like the book hasn't been finished yet.
no, I
But
definitely not.
historically, it's not as easy as it looks to be the number one guy
Yeah,
for a franchise.
yeah,
And the point I guess I'm making, I'm not having a go at, well, I am having a go at KD and
yeah,
Kyrie,
yeah, yeah.
but
I
the
am.
focus point
Yeah,
is that Jimmy Butler has asked for it, has got it,
yeah.
and he's been to the NBA Finals once. And
You
look,
made
that
a
was the
very
bubble.
valid point there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm totally fine with that. I know what you're trying to say. I suppose
yeah.
what I was like taking.
He is an alpha. I didn't think he was. I thought he was a second fiddle on
Yeah,
a good team.
yeah,
He is not a second fiddle on a good team. He is the leader.
yeah.
And look, we'll bring up his partner in crime.
So bring up
Six.
Tyler Herro. So
Yep.
where are we at with him at the moment, mate?
Silver 2019 Prism Silver. Last sold $275. So anyone
So who's been
population.
saying that that Herro's been selling for more than Butler? So we can just completely remove that myth, then, can't we?
I mean, go to base. We can have a look at base. I
No, we don't
guess.
need to though. If the Jimmy Butler's selling for 2,500, who are these people that are posting online saying that Herro's selling for more than Butler?
I think there's a bunch of people on various Facebook groups that get a limited sample size.
I mean, seriously, these must be the same people that also can't check comps when they're trying to do sales, and then they're
They
10
must go to
times
that
over.
shop that's got the sign in the window that says, "Please don't use the word comps with me."
Oh, jeez. Can I be honest? I'm actually disappointed at myself. I actually believed that Tyler Hero was selling for more than Jimmy Butler. I was actually like, that is the world we live in. This is possible.
Yeah, this is true.
I
This is true.
feel ignorant.
Look,
I'm
it's
disappointed with myself.
look, Tyler Hero still like around about $40 to $50 for a base. 275 if you want a silver prism. It's probably not the player I'm eyeing off. If you want to pay 200, you got $250 for a base prism of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. See, the thing that we're probably missing with Tyler Hero on this 3-month period, he actually was like very depressed this year. Like the bottom really fell out of this dude. And I think part of that was because, say, 12 months or 15 months ago, actually, he was very popular and he was riding a wave. So there's actually a population of people out that have been buying him on the dip. And now that he's come back quite strongly, that they've done really well. So
Bounce
if you
back.
are in that group, congratulations, lads. You've done well for yourselves. Like, you know, particularly if someone that you genuinely do believe in, that you think he's got a future in the hobby game and he was just down low and you've picked him up for cheap, you know, well done. And are you buying him at 275 for a silver PSA 10?
Probably not. I'd wait until it drops below that 200 mark before I think about pulling the trigger.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad buy. Like, I don't
think it's a terrible buy.
Yeah.
But there's a reason we haven't talked much about Miami, and it's not that they're a bad basketball team. They just this group of players aren't in the spotlight a lot.
Yeah, I don't think they're heavily collectible.
No. And look, Miami's a lovely place, but
I probably just think you could spend your 275 better somewhere else. That's the truth. Like I think Herro's a good prospect. I think
if you're a Miami fan and you're like you want to collect Miami Heat players, by all means look at that 200 to 250 mark. You're probably happy to part ways with that kind of money for a Tyler Hero, maybe even a little bit more.
Well, I was just about to say, I actually think he's got a bit more room to move at 275.
Yeah.
Do you think that he has got room to move at 275, or do you think that's the peak in your mind?
I feel like, the peak here has been 400, right?
430, man.
Oh, wait, yeah, we go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, go back to late March.
Yeah.
So like there are spikes, and look, if he plays a significant role in a Miami championship, then maybe there is a little bit of room to move. But Miami are also into the Eastern Conference Finals, so they're playing pretty well, and he's at this almost 300 price point. So
yeah,
maybe you want to see him get eliminated in the Eastern Conference Finals, see a bit of a dip, a drop off, and then you want to pick some up and hope that Miami sort of take it all out in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's definitely on the high side, I think. And look, it's from one of those years where people have been sending a lot off. For a player that just won Sixth Man of the Year, we're not talking like superstar, all-star status. For the Silver Prism to have a pop count of near 800, it's a lot of people that have submitted Tyler Herro for grading.
Yeah.
That's a silver PSA 10. There's almost 800 of them. That's high for a player that's not Giannis or LeBron or Zion or Luka. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think that. And
are we going to get back a pop count of 2,000 Desmond Baines in a year's time? Or
I don't think so, just because of like the timing of the shutdown. But I do wonder if that sort of like 2-year period of rookies are all going to have, very high pop counts.
Yeah.
And in some ways, like this is a much bigger topic to talk about in the future, but is that just going to be our reality and that's what we're going to be used to sort of see those really high pop counts for those cards? And
yeah, I think the bigger
conversation
it could be a
in 25
phase.
years is it probably is going to be a phase, but I'd also say too, like in 25 years, what's going to happen to the price of those cards because the pop counts are so high? Are they going to stay high because that's just what we've used to and no one wants to, bottom out their cash? Like, I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's we'll call it the pandemic numbers.
Yeah.
Is that what we...
So, I mean, we do this a little bit and it's kind of a fun exercise, but do you want 8 heroes or do you want 1 Jimmy Butler?
Oh my God. You know what? I'll take 8 heroes.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. That's definitely the better play.
Yeah.
So when you say it like that, it's actually an easy conversation to have, isn't it?
It is. But I also, like my gut response is neither.
Okay.
And it's not offense to Miami. It's just I don't see the players as...
I think if I had to buy it would be Herro. I think he's got a little bit more room to move there and,
Yep.
So what player would you like to talk about next, mate? If you haven't got one, I've got one ready.
I'll go Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Why not?
So what made you pick Oladipo next?
I think he's been an absolutely amazing pickup.
For a minimum, you can't go wrong.
Like, think about it. This guy was an absolute superstar. Didn't he make the All-Star?
Maybe not superstar, but
he had a breakout.
Yeah,
and then he
definitely
got
had some good years. And I think, he was traded for Ball George, so clearly the guy's got some talent there.
Mm.
And was he drafted 2nd overall? You're testing my my draft knowledge now. Yeah, 2nd overall. So
2013 pick 2, yeah. Who was pick 1 that year?
Was that Anthony Bennett?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the Bennett year.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Anthony Bennett.
Quality of that draft.
Yeah. So, like the kid's got chops and realistically he had injury problems the last couple of years and then he wanted to be in Miami. That was the destination that he wanted. And in terms of him getting paid, well, he could have gone elsewhere for more money, but Miami had what they had. That's, it's as simple as that. It's a very pragmatic decision for him. So his last silver PSA 10 sold for $80. Where are you with that?
When was that though? That was the end of March, wasn't it?
He's not a high volume seller, man.
No. I'd pick that up. I don't know. I like him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's worth the risk.
That's a PSA 10. Pop count's less than 50.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, he might just get himself a big contract outside of Miami and explode again. That said, he hasn't proven that he's an alpha like Jimmy Butler, but...
I think if you're buying that for the flip...
Yeah.
My impression of that would be that I think he's going to be ring chasing from here out because if he's signing for the money that he signed for this year in Miami, that makes me think that he's probably got enough money to see himself through. Like in his mind, that's where he's at, and he's ring chasing. So really, what I think you're buying here is that he'll get more hobby popularity by being in the spotlight and playing in big games.
Mm.
Like
$80 I think is good value at the moment. Do you know what he's
for that talent?
Well, think about what his base is worth. PSA 10 base lasts off $26.
Yeah.
3 times that, and you've got a silver prism.
I think at those prices, you're better off just buying a silver, though.
Silver,
because,
for sure.
You can buy other guys' base cards for that much money. So just, you know what I mean? Just get the silver straight up. Yeah, I agree with that. Interesting dude, right? That's a good one.
Victor Oladipo is a very interesting player.
Yeah.
I mean, if I hadn't invested all my money in Anthony Bennett, I would have.
And you're saying it as a joke, but actually deep down, I see those little tears like coming down your face. You're just
no. I've got a friend that every birthday I send him an Anthony Bennett RPA. It's like, I got more basketball cards. I'm like, how's the Anthony Bennett collection going? But yeah, Oladipo. And that's, I mean, God, Orlando saw something in him because they didn't pick Giannis.
Yeah. So I think the next one to talk about is Bam. And before I say anything, I've definitely got Bam cards that I've bought as, investments to flip.
Yeah.
My impression of Bam is that in my head, I think how skillful he is and how good of an NBA player he is doesn't equate to his card values. So, the glass half empty as well. He's underperforming. It's not a good asset to hold. The glass half full would be that this is a good player and he's still low at the moment.
Yeah.
I probably think my impression was that when I was selling the stuff that I had, I sold a little bit of it. It's not like I sold none of it.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't really the market there for it. So I've still got probably half of what I bought to flip.
Okay.
And I don't feel badly about holding it. Like, I'm not too fussed about it. But I'd probably just add that sort of, commentary, to it. So
yeah,
his current PSA 10 silver price is $190. He's actually down nearly 40%, which is, I'm actually shocked to see that. I don't see.
He is down quite a bit though.
There's no really good reason why that this dude should be down, nearly 40%.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually like.
So
yeah, well, that mirror. There's a statement here in the chat. Bam could be the one player not named Jimmy Butler on this team who could take over a game for Miami, but he's not quite there yet.
I wonder if it's a little bit too that the way he plays basketball, like he's very good at defending. He's actually very good at passing, and he really understands the game in terms of, reading the flow of the game and setting up other people. And I suppose what I'm trying to really get to there is like, hockey assists and secondary assists that don't count. There's no statistic to count these.
Yeah.
Is he sort of a victim of his own success in some way that...
Yeah, that's...
He's not a numbers guy. He's just a really good basketball player.
Look, I don't think he's entered his prime yet. And I think this sort of mirrors what chat's saying, but he's developing quite well. Yeah. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
When was he drafted? 2017?
He's the same draft year as Fox. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's 17, 18.
So he's so what's that? That's the same year as, is that Tatum?
Yeah, Tatum's the same year.
So we look at where Tatum's at now, right? Now he's establishing himself at superstar level, but no one else from that draft class is at that crazy superstar level. Like, they're entering their prime years.
Yeah.
I think Bam's still got a way to go, and I actually think that's really good value.
Yeah.
Especially on the dip now. If you can pick up Bam silvers at 190 US, that's a buy for me every day of the week. I think Bam could be one of those $400 to $500 silvers. I just don't think he's hit his ceiling. He's a 3 to 5 year investment, and I think it might hinge on Miami's success or where he ends up if they're not successful. But I think he's good enough to warrant a little bit of investment. I just think he's on a dip at the moment, and sub 200 for a silver of a player of that caliber is good value.
Yeah. I do wonder though, I mean, yes, he's $80 cheaper than Herro at the moment, but I do think that positional factor does come into play here. And particularly, I would also say too, I think, we do need to take this into consideration. And we said this at the start of the show. We haven't spoken about Miami all year. There's probably a reason for that. You know, they are a
Yep.
smaller market.
They're a smaller market, and
They don't talk themselves up on social media, and they're not, they're not in the public spotlight. I mean, the only time they've been in the spotlight this year was when that Jimmy Butler had that massive meltdown. I mean, the rest of the year, I was actually thinking about this the other day. When else have they been in the news this year? It didn't seem like once. So,
yeah, that's
um,
true.
I think I'm probably, you know, it's not like I'm thousands of dollars in a hole with Bam or anything like that, and that's why I'm feeling snake bitten here. Yet, look, if you tell me you're going out and buying these at $190, I'm definitely not going to, be worried for you or anything like that. Look, I think you'll be totally fine. But I just do wonder at this price point, they're not that far away from each other. And if you are choosing, I probably think Herro's the better buy at the moment. And I'm very, very interested why he's down, 37%. That to me it's actually, I'm shocked. If anything, I would have thought to have seen a little bit of growth out of Bam just for the fact that they have progressed, so far through the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's another point as well. There's definitely I struggle with the smaller markets and the lower profile players.
Yeah.
Because there are players that they're very good fundamental basketballers.
Yeah.
They're very skilled athletes.
Yeah.
But they're not getting any hobby love.
Yeah, he was on Team USA.
Didn't we? I mean, we spoke about this a while back.
Yeah.
We're talking about LaMelo Ball, and he's got that X factor, I guess.
Yeah.
That bit of nous about him, where he's a little bit arrogant about things, and he show ponies and gets into the spotlight.
Yeah.
There's a reason that every week we've talked about Ja Morant. He's a flashy player.
Yeah.
And the reason that people are talking about Jokic as he's a fundamentally amazing player, but he's not exciting.
Yeah.
He doesn't catch the eye. Is that a factor that we're not seeing in the hobby? Because someone is just good at the sport, that's not enough. They have to be outspoken. They have to be, they have to have some signature move. They have to, you know what I mean? They have to catch people's attention.
Yeah.
I'm just posing a bunch of questions now, but it's what is it? Because there are some really good players out there, and the other team that suffers this is the San Antonio Spurs.
So I think to answer your question specifically for this scenario, we're talking about the Miami Heat.
Yeah,
and we've just finished breaking down Tyler Herro and Bam. It comes down to shot making, because I don't think that the ball is going to be in Bam's hands at the end of games making big shots, whereas Herro has been used in that capacity as a fourth quarter scorer. So,
I saw a Bam highlight, and I'm going to say yes, shot making is one thing.
Yeah,
I saw a Bam block, and that was insane. Was it who did he get over? Was it Harden or Embiid? But it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that I think actually you're helping my point here in some ways, because
you're right.
And earlier before we did speak that he was a good defensive player. So
Shaq's block count isn't the reason Shaq is one of the greatest centers of all time, right?
Yeah.
Because he was a dominant offensive force.
And he dunked on fools, and he threw Chris Dudley around like a ragdoll.
He threw a lot of people around like a ragdoll. Yeah,
right. Alrighty. Now, the Miami Heat to me are really interesting because they've actually got the most players that have been on a G League roster on their current roster. I love that type of scouting and team building and all that type of stuff. I love the off season as much as I love the regular season with the trades and stuff. So the list of players that have been in the G League that are on the Miami Heat roster are Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, excuse my pronunciation, Omer Yurtseven, Max Strus, Michael Mulder, Javonte Smart, and Dwayne Dedman. Dedman actually, he was the hardest one for me to find. I heard on a broadcast the other day that they had 8 on their roster, but I didn't hear what names they played. So I actually was searching myself. Dedman took me the most by surprise because he's been in the league now for 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he basically was out of the league, was bouncing around between Sacramento, Atlanta, and then ended up in the G League and then got picked up by Miami from there. So that's a really, that's an interesting story in itself. So what I wanted to do was, can you pick out a player or two here, and then we'll have a look at their rookie cards or their rookie autos. So I've already picked out Gabe Vincent and Omer Yurtseven.
Right.
Are you happy if I get started?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So Gabe Vincent's an interesting one because he didn't get a Prism rookie card. So again, I love these type of like players and cards. He's got Obsidian, he's got Recon, he's got Panini Contenders, he's got the Chronicles, he's got the Hometowns autos there. So if you are looking to get some of his cards, this is what you should be focusing on. Basically, just all of his autograph stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting also too, he was the most improved player in the G League. So we've sort of been talking about this a little bit. You know, what G League players should you be focusing on as like super deep cuts to be buying into their cards now and, you know, putting them away for a few years to see if they blossom? I think Gabe Vincent is definitely on that list.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I guess that's a short-term thing. We're looking for spikes, right? While they're successful.
I think someone like Gabe Vincent, though, is probably a 5-year purchase because if he was the most improved player in the G League, I think that means, and he's in the NBA roster now, I think it'll take him a few years to really get into a rotation.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it would be a 5-year purchase. I'm probably going towards an Obsidian card here. There's a 4 out of 5 here for $70.
Yep.
That would be where I'm going to. And I actually think Obsidian, their short printed stuff is pretty nice looking.
Yeah.
The Hometown Heroes, the Chronicles stuff, Illusions, I can take that or leave it. I think they're nice cards, but in terms of having like a classic card, it's a bit easier to look at. Yeah. That's where I'll be headed down. Alrighty, so the next player I wanted to talk about was Omer Yurtseven. So this is a little bit self-indulgent. I'll definitely admit this. So he doesn't have any pro rookie cards at all. So the only autographs you can currently get are actually the Prism draft picks, the prospect cards, and also the Contenders collegiate cards. So, and for me, this is super fun because that means that you can look at these. For example, you can get the Disco autographs for $15. You can get some numbered stuff around that sort of $10 to $20 mark. So if you like him as a prospect and you think that, there's a little bit of movement here, definitely check out some of the draft pick stuff. I think it looks really good. If you just want to play it a little bit safe, you can probably just go for like a Contenders game ticket. They're going for around like $12. So
that's all right. $12.
Yeah, you can definitely spend worse money on $12 for that.
Well, speaking of the $12 mark,
talk to me.
Look, I'm on Duncan Robinson at the moment.
Great. Talk to us.
And all I can find on eBay, I'm just going to try and go to completed listings because 1920 NBA Mosaic Green Prism, $15 or best offer.
Okay.
I'm sure I can probably put in a better offer than that, but let's have a look. And my search completed sold items. There we go. 2021. That's not. No. It's actually harder than I thought it would be to find.
So his draft year is 18-19.
Is it 18-19? So the 19-20 says rookie. Why?
So I'm actually looking at Basketball Reference right now. His 18-19 salary was $9,474.
He did all right. He did all right, and he got some serious minutes in the playoffs too.
He got some cash after that, though. Yeah,
I'm sure he got some cash. He was in the bubble, wasn't he?
Yeah. So his contract for the next 4 years is $15,500,000.
Yeah, he's getting some cash.
16-9, 18-1, 19-4, and 19-8. So
what about he? When was his first card printed? 2019 Panini Mosaic. Pink Cameo PSA. It's saying that his rookie was that 2019 Mosaic. That was the first printing.
Okay.
Must be. But you can pick up the pink Mosaic for $1.40.
I mean, look, it's possible he doesn't have a rookie card.
Yeah, this is very true. There are players that sort of appear out of nowhere and have an impact.
Yeah.
On the league. And then all of a sudden you're like, I want to pick up a rookie. And you're like, oh.
Where do I get this from?
where's his rookie card? There's nothing with a rookie shield on it.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Jimmy Butler doesn't have a rookie shield on his.
Yeah, that's a different
There's a different
scenario,
reason,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, hit the radar that late that he doesn't actually get any card in his rookie year, and his first printing is in his sophomore year. So I guess having the mosaic 2019-20 as his rookie card, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. It's like, because he caught my eye, and now I'm like, where can I pick up a card? And I can't. There's no rookie card.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted one. So yeah, I guess the first printing makes the hunt that much more interesting.
Yeah. Alrighty, Ad. Final thoughts for tonight.
Final thoughts
of wisdom. Yeah.
The Miami Heat, underrated. Maybe they can take it all out and increase their collectability. I don't think it will. I don't think if they win they win it all, whether or not that'll impact their collectability. I think they suffer with very similar problems to what the Spurs do.
Yeah.
And they just they play great fundamental basketball, but
yeah.
One player we didn't talk about tonight was Kyle Lowry. He was one of the big acquisitions for Miami.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'd rather talk about Yurtseven than Kyle Lowry, to be honest.
You know what? I'd actually, because we'll even go back a step to the MVP discussions. Is there any truth to the rumor that there's going to be a conference finals MVP?
That's not a rumor; it's confirmed, my friend.
Oh,
that was on.
God, it was a. Yeah. I thought it was.
So they did two things. What they did was they announced a new string of awards, and their primary motivation for doing that was to pay respects to previous players. And the second thing they did was they standardized the design of all of their awards so that they all look, relatively in a theme. Because I think what had happened was over the years they just sort of had all these different trophies that came about at different times. So now they've essentially.
They're literally going to give out participation awards in the NBA.
Well, that's what that's the feedback that I've heard. But I'm not going to lie to you. I don't mind a playoffs MVP. So what I mean by that is
playoffs, but conference playoffs.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But so, for example, you might say Ja Morant is the playoff MVP so far, just so that you recognize the numbers that guy has put up. Or the other example, maybe the better example is, let's just say Boston gets eliminated. So then you say Jason Tatum has been the playoffs MVP so far, and then you give, some acknowledgement to him. I would prefer that type of award as opposed to then having to pick somebody from the conference finals, because you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it sort of takes it down to 4 teams, whereas I sort of like it from that. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't mind it if someone got playoff MVP and they lost in the first round. That would be fine for me.
Yeah. Who's your playoffs MVP at the moment? It's actually an interesting question.
I think there's a lot of talent going around, but I think at the end of the day, like Giannis, no one has played better than him.
I don't know. Tatum's done all right.
I think so, but Tatum's got a bit more around him at the moment than probably Giannis does.
Yeah, there was a Jaylen Brown game. It hasn't all been Tatum. You're right.
And Giannis also too. Like, even if you look at the players that are healthy around him, like Brook Lopez hasn't made a 3-pointer this playoffs. I need to fact check. Actually, he definitely hasn't made one this series. But
you haven't seen him make one this playoffs.
I'm not even sure he's made one. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, Brook Lopez is, he's out and he's running around the track. Like, that's fine, but he's not even playing that well. Like,
true.
Yeah,
true.
My final thought this week actually is Court Kings. So Court Kings dropped just a week or so back.
See, I've never got my finger on the pulse with release. Is that 2021 Court Kings?
21-22.
I was just going to be... I'm sorry. I'm never going to get over
I know you're trying to trick me then with numbers, but I held strong. I was like, I got this.
So we're looking for our Ben Simmons rookie cards.
So that's Cade rookie year, Evan Mobley rookie year, and the level 4 rookie cards are always very nice, but last year's, I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. I think they sort of went a little bit too far with the risk, whereas this year they sort of brought it right back, and it's very streamlined. It's very black. They look delicious. So, guys, get out and check out some of those. Just watch some breaks. Go onto YouTube and watch some Court Kings breaks. They're only like 10 cards in a box, so it doesn't take you, half an hour to watch a break.
You wouldn't happen to know any breakers that are breaking Court Kings, would you?
I might know a couple. US Sports Cards Australia, we might be breaking some. But no, this is not a spruik. This is a genuine product commentary.
Yeah, no, Court Kings has always got that that level of quality to it. So yeah, definitely.
The plus side is there's some really nice cards in it. The downside though is that sometimes the hits are sort of few and far between. Like
you wouldn't call them hits.
Well, yeah,
you'd call them misses rather than hits.
I think so. The classic one is for Court Kings is when you go onto Instagram, you'll see these like delicious looking Court Kings cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch a case break, that might be the best card out of 2 cases. So, you do have to be a little bit careful in that space. Is Court Kings the type of product that you're better off buying whole boxes or just buying a single that you want? There's some probably argument for that, to be honest. The trajectory this season on box prices has been very, very strong at the start, and then everything's trickled down over the next couple of months. Like Donruss Hobby, for example.
Yeah.
That's just about halved in price now.
That's interesting.
Donruss Choice has actually stayed pretty strong, and I think it's going to stay strong because now they've got the next day autos in it. That's really, I think, it's going to prop it up.
Next day autos definitely prop things up for sure.
But I think Court Kings is going to be a little bit different, to be honest. I think once the gloss comes off this a little bit, it's going to slide. So if you're looking to buy hold boxes, just definitely hold a little bit and look what's out there, and then that'll also give you some time to get some singles too if you're looking down that angle. So I think that's my closing thought for tonight. Court Kings is awesome. Is back. Court Kings is back.
Court Kings is back. And speaking of Court Kings, well done to the Warriors for advancing. Well done to the Miami Heat for advancing. We've got a couple of cracker Game 7s tomorrow. And
let's get to bed early, Ad, so we can get up and watch some hoops.
Yeah, it's going to be an early start. So very early start.
Yeah. Let's
go, Luca.
Take care of yourself, big fella. And thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. This show has actually been like just aiding my card buying addiction. I just spend more time like looking up weird dudes and weird cards to buy.
We're supposed to be helping other people feed their card addiction.
I'm just fucking myself up really. Like